I remember meeting with a board of an organization in Cairo in Egypt some years ago, and they had some very ambitious plans for things they were going to do. And it was their annual budgeting meeting when they were going to set the budget for the next year. And they had asked me to talk to them about a couple things. And I asked them a question. I said, you've budgeted the money for this. Have you budgeted your initiative for this? And they said, what do you mean? I said, you have a really ambitious plan ahead of you. And I can see how you could pull it off financially, but do the people in your organization have enough initiative to get through all these projects? Because if they don't, I think you're going to leave them all panting for breath on the floor, and some of them will be bleeding. And so they reconsidered the timing of how they would take on all these projects. You need to, you don't need to, but it can be helpful to budget your initiative. I know that in my 20s and 30s, early 30s, I had about 6 bursts of energy a day. Each of them lasted about an hour and a half. So I would do about 3 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and I'd be good for 1 or 2 in the evening. I'm not good for that many anymore. I cannot work that long with intensity, with real serious attention to what I'm doing, and with real initiative for what I'm doing. So if you think about the energy you have, and if you're young, you've probably got lots of it, take a calendar and plan to do things. You're not so much budgeting your time, you are, but you're budgeting your initiative and your energy. And you'll find that by spending some, you'll have more. If you go to the gym, or if you work out with weights, you don't say, you know what, I'm just going to save up all my energy for 3 months, and then I'm going to go lift that weight. And I should be able to lift way more because I've been saving it up. It doesn't work that way. I was at a conference once, and before that I had worked out using one of these rubber band machines, and they had 50-pound rubber bands and 20-pound rubber bands, and so I thought I knew what I could do, And I was at this hotel, and they didn't have a rubber band machine. They had real weights. And so I looked at the weights, and I read the numbers, and I stacked them on the bar, and there was a row of women on stationary bicycles here, and here was this bench. I thought, I can do this. And I laid down, and I got the bar off the rack, and it just collapsed onto my chest. And I thought, this is way more than I thought. It was substantially more. I thought, do I need to ask for help? But my pride was too much, so I went, 1, and racked it. And I thought, and then I got up and I looked at the numbers again, and I realized I had thought it was talking about pounds, and it was talking about kilos.
Yeah, it was over twice as much.
Yeah, it was over twice as much. And so I was sore after that, and I was humbled. And I discovered that, yeah, I did a bit. I got over it. I've recovered. The thing about strength, whether it's in initiative or willpower, and there's some great research out on this, that you can build your willpower by putting it to work. So when you exercise your willpower, it's all prefrontal cortex stuff, that you actually build more willpower. And so when you do something that takes a bit, in fact, this guy did this experiment and discovered that even by brushing your teeth with the other hand, your brain's capacity for doing things differently and in new ways with strength has actually increased, maybe just a little bit. It sounds odd, doesn't it?
Makes sense.
And so when you try things, now like exercise, just like when you go to the gym, if you do too much, you're going to strain yourself. So when I did double as much as I thought, I strained some muscles. But by doing an amount every other day, and by either increasing the reps or increasing the amount of weight moderately, I create more and more strength. You need rest in there, but you need exercise too. It's the same. Willpower is the same as the muscles in our bodies. You can add strength to your will. But rest is an important part. Just like if you go to the gym and you have a real big workout day, you need to rest those muscles for at least a day for them to grow in strength, to make the most of that strength. You need to pay attention to the things that are energizing you and the things that are drawing life out of you. My brother says there are 2 kinds of things in life, and there are things that that draw life into us, that energize us, and things that take life out of us. And while you can endure for a while in things that take energy from you, you can't sustain that, whether it's relationally or vocationally. If it's something that's taking money out of your life persistently and there's no return coming in and no hope of return, you need to get out of that kind of business. If you're in a relationship that's just running you dry and there's no hope that it's going to turn and nourish your life as well as the other person's, that's not a sustainable relationship. It won't go on forever. And it's often a good idea to keep a little bit in reserve. Because if you get to this place where you think, if I just give a little bit more, it will finally work out, it may be worth it, but you may find yourself too in the place where you're destitute, emotionally, relationally, and financially. So give some thought to those things.